Free Palestine, free all the yes, please. Oh my goodness. Hello. Welcome to my bedroom. This is so intimate. I'm shy. Do you want to perhaps talk about my 30th birthday that I threw last year? It was awesome. It was low waist, it was vegan, it was camp themed, and I've been wanting to take it out of my brain and put it into yours for a while now, so that's what we're doing here. I am a Leo, so naturally that means I wanted to go all out for my birthday without throwing animals or the planet under the bus. And I also wanted to dispel this whole myth that if you turn vegan, you like magically bippity boppity boop into this boring, crunchy granola hippie overnight. Don't mind the name of this page, that can't have a good time because they're vegan and everything in life just suddenly becomes a struggle. That's not how it is at all. It's incredibly easy to be vegan and have fun and be over the top if that's your vibe, which is definitely mine. I know you'd really think that that would be common sense, but I swear I get that pity look from people who find out that I'm vegan more than I get the where do you get your protein from question. So I thought I'd show you how I pulled off the party while microdosing some activism. Almost everything was either thrifted or borrowed or foraged. We had hot dogs and burgers on the grill, we had s'mores. I knew I wanted the setting to feel like it was a summer camp built by someone who shops at Goodwill, knows what compostable means, and can wield a wood burner. So I set up this welcome to Camp Manar welcome sign, which was made out of a discarded slab of wood I found on the street. I also bought a used wood burner off of Facebook Marketplace, and I burned the letters in myself. There were no balloons since those things are an ecological nightmare. No plastic, no single-use disposables, no party store waste in general. Instead, I used foraged pine cones and branches as well as thrifted blankets, tablecloths, fairy lights, etc. that I found at Goodwill. I also designed these little signs for each different station I had envisioned and printed them on recycled paper. Even the cups were borrowed from friends. I just knew I needed to wash them the next morning, which wasn't a big deal because I was at a house with a dishwasher. A big and super easy thing I've learned you can do over the years to be a little more sustainable is to really tap into your friend network. If you know you need something that you're only going to use once and then it'll probably sit in the back of your closet for months or years to come, just ask if your friends have one. And if they don't, then ask your local Buy Nothing group on Facebook, which, if you don't know, is a free online community where people give and receive items without any money involved. It's just to keep things out of landfills. You can easily join one on Facebook by typing your neighborhood and Buy Nothing on Facebook. So in the end, all of the decor looked cozy and handmade, which is exactly what I wanted. And not only did that mean everything was eco-friendly, but it was also significantly cheaper. Anyone who knows me knows I live for an excuse to make an elaborate plan on Notion or craft things with my hands, so that's where this all started. I set up a simple Notion page, no fancy databases this time, and I dumped like any thoughts or inspiration or ideas that came to mind. I made sections for venue, food, decor, drinks, and activities, and then I tagged anything I added with either thrift, make, or bring to make the actual prep and purchasing easier. Normally I'd offer up a Notion template for you to download for free, but this was not refined whatsoever. It was just a bunch of chicken scratch. At the same time, I started up a Pinterest board for any inspiration I found from other people who've thrown similar themed parties, or any drink or food ideas, just general vibes. I went back and forth between Pinteresting, Googling, and updating the Notion doc until I had a good idea of what I wanted the party to look like. I knew I wanted a house with an outdoor space, a place for a campfire, a grill, preferably a pool, and at least 4 bedrooms for the friends that were coming in from out of town to spend the night. So initially I looked at Airbnb, but then I quickly realized that they're very unfriendly toward parties. So instead I found the perfect venue on a website called Peerspace instead. Now for the food, there were no animals on the grill, of course, and no one seemed to miss them. We grilled Beyond Burgers and vegan hot dogs, topped them with all the fixings, dairy-free cheese included. I heard multiple people say that they couldn't believe it was vegan, which, thank you to our Lord and Savior Beyond Meat, always coming in clutch. And it wasn't even fancy, I swear. It was just a burger, 2 slices of bread, a burger bun, ketchup, and cheese. So easy. I also made spiked apple cider and served it in a thrifted drink dispenser as well. And instead of buying disposable plastic solo cups, I just borrowed cups from friends and family. And then I set up a tray for used cups and a tray for clean cups. That was it, and then I just threw them in the dishwasher in the morning the next day. The plates and the cutlery were also compostable, either made of bamboo or of paper, so I set up 2 bins, one for recycling and one for compost. And instead of cake, I made cupcakes the day before that were fully on theme. Moss, soil, and a little mushroom candle. Not a pat of butter or egg in them, yet they were moist and delicious. I literally had my cake and I ate it too. The mushroom candles, unfortunately, were not thrifted, but listen, we're not here looking for perfection, you know? We try to do our best with what we got. And then I knew very, very important. I needed to make use of the campfires. There were 2 of them. I got super lucky with this Pure Space house, so I knew I needed to find vegan ingredients for the s'mores. The marshmallows and the chocolate were super easy. Marshmallows, dandies, of course, and then the chocolate was the vegan oat chocolate squares from Trader Joe's. Delicious. The only one that I had a little bit of trouble finding right away was graham crackers, which surprisingly is almost always made with honey for some reason. Ultimately, I did find them after some Googling, but I can't recall what the brand was and I can't find it in my purchase history. So if you know of a brand that makes vegan graham crackers, please drop it in the comments. That'd be super helpful. It's really not so difficult to find vegan alternatives to your favorite things. Like, we have come such a long way, especially if you live in America, especially if you live in a major city, and especially if you have access to online grocery stores or even just Amazon. So many vegan options are available on Amazon, which of course I don't support Amazon as a company whatsoever, but if a vegan option exists on Amazon and nowhere else, I'm gonna buy the vegan option. It wouldn't be a summer camp without tons of activities. When guests first walked in, they were instructed to grab a bandana from the basket. And then there was a Polaroid station, an arts and crafts station stocked with ancient supplies from my childhood that I found tucked in a drawer at my parents' house. Markers, journals, pencils, the works. And then there was also a trail mix station, which I set up by bringing upcycled pasta and mason jars to a local grocery store that offers bulk buying, which if you don't know, it doesn't mean like buying from Costco. It means purchasing unpackaged items like nuts, grains, or snacks from large containers so you can scoop exactly what you need into your own reusable bags or jars to reduce packaging waste and even the price. In my case, that was a grocery store called Sprouts, where I filled the jars with a variety of nuts and treats.
You came back to teach me how to do this, and I'm gonna learn.
I even wood-burned compostable popsicle sticks to use as the labels. The guests could then scoop whatever nut or treat they wanted into compostable paper bags to make their own trail mix. Even the tables everything was set up on were borrowed from friends. Besides that, there was also swimming, there were fire pit s'mores, cornhole borrowed from another friend, and of course there was a friendship bracelet making station. Would it be summer camp without it? I don't think so. I've never been to summer camp, by the way, guys. Like, I have no idea what it's actually like. I grew up in the Middle East and not wherever The Parent Trap was filmed, which is what I'm basing all of this off of, by the way. This is all just an elaborate scheme to make my nostalgic dreams come true. Take everything I said with a grain of salt. Luckily, I found a used friendship bracelet making kit, so I laid that out on one of the tables too, with a sign that contained a QR code that sent you to videos that showed you how to make some basic friendship bracelets. And in true summer camp magic, we even ended the night with an impromptu group yoga session where everyone just like tried to teach their unique party trick to everyone else. It sounds so wholesome, and it kind of was, but it was also extremely chaotic and probably unsafe with the state of people's minds over there. Alright, now because I have zero self-control when it comes to hand-making crafts, I also made personalized eco-friendly goodie bags for each guest too. Each one came in a compostable hemp pouch and included a mini twig pencil, a thrifted carabiner, and 1 serving of vegan hot chocolate with vegan marshmallows, all packed in a small glass jar to avoid any waste. I also included a wood-burned Camp Manar popsicle stick and a me-themed crossword puzzle because I have never in my life known chill. My favorite low-key insufferable part was that some of the clues included nods to veganism, inside jokes, and references to things like the documentary Dominion, which watch it if you haven't. It was playful, personal, and purposeful all at once. I bet you can't beat my New York Times Monday crossword record. If you want to embarrass yourself, drop your time in the comments and I'll tell you if you beat me. By the end of the night, I was amazed by how much actual trash was generated. Everything that could be composted was, everything recyclable was sorted, and what couldn't be reused was minimal enough to fit in 1 small garbage bag. I took the compost bag with me and dropped it off at a local composting site. The rest, the mugs, the decor, came back home with me to be reused or to be returned to the lovely friends and family that let me borrow it. And then the next morning, I sat down with my journal to take it all in. What stuck with me wasn't just that it was so much fun, it was also that it felt so aligned. No animals were harmed, no landfill guilt, no sense of compromising on fun whatsoever. It was just the best way to ring in the new decade for me. I feel like I basked in the afterglow of that party for like 2 weeks straight. I felt so loved and content. One friend even pulled me aside for a second and was like, "This party is so you," which was the ultimate compliment for me. Some people think that going vegan is this big sacrifice. You have to give up so much that you love, like food and traditions, but that's not been my experience whatsoever, or the experience of any of the vegans that I know. You don't at all have to give up the things that you love or you cherish. Sometimes you might have to maybe reimagine a couple aspects of them or find new ways to celebrate them, but you don't have to give anything up. I ended up having so much fun in this party that I forgot to take a single video. Not a single one, so you know it's real. We didn't miss a single thing by leaving out the animals or the waste. And side note, none of the guests were vegan either. That birthday also marked my 9.5-year anniversary of not eating animals. I've since hit 10 years, but in my last video I talked at length about how privileged we are to be able to experience aging, let alone wax poetic about it for 15 minutes straight in a YouTube video when trillions of animals are denied the privilege every single year. That's who we do it for. The extra little bit of groundwork or planning that someone has to do in order to be vegan or to plan an event like a vegan birthday party is negligible compared to the suffering that we put these animals through and compared to the message, the size of the message that you send by being vegan. Alright, thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to support or if you found this helpful, a link to my Patreon is in the description below. But honestly, a like or comment or subscription goes a long way too. Alright, get out of my bedroom. I want to go to sleep. Bye!
Magic.
أيوة.
My second half lesbian. أيوة. Full moon, open mouth, kissers.